Happy Thursday, AI Hotline. How are we doing today?
Amazing.
Awesome. My name is Will Castillo. I have
Hello,
here
hello.
Raz, Heather, and Jamie. Today we want to talk to you about AI. So, guys, how was your week so far?
Busy. I went to the conference that Pace was at yesterday. It was cool. There's about maybe 8 OC members who got up on stage and shared their Mount Everest. And they all did amazing. And then Pace followed them and spoke about vision.
Was there any topic on AI at the conference?
Yes, there was actually an AI guy. I got a ton of swag. It's Angel AI, and he was selling something that he was calling the AI twin. And it's basically like a chat where it's almost like the voice part of ChatGPT, but it has a face associated with it. And I don't think the face technology was really like super up to date because it was a little creepy. Like the guy that I was talking to in the chat, I was a little creeped out by because they like forced us to do a demo and sign up for an account to get the swag. And I was like, well, I got to have this swag. It's pretty cool.
I wonder what the use case of it is. Is it just like your AI twin, like you're discussing things with it, or how were they using it?
I guess like, what is it? Heijin? But like in a chat setting. So I think they had some use cases. You'd have to look it up. I did. I was like, oh, this is cool, but here's all these people to talk to in the moment, so I'll have to go back and actually research what they do. But yeah, it's a little chat guy.
I know, Heather, you had your hands full this entire week because you also had your AI workshop. How did that go?
That went amazing. It went so much better than the first one. Like we took a lot of the things that we learned from the first one. It was just a great environment. There was probably about 8 people who attended, which is a really good number because we were able to focus on everyone's business. So we started off day one with going through laying the foundation. We did use the stack framework, which that's a sneak peek for the semesters coming up next month. So it's coming up really fast. And then just talk through ChatGPT and then also go high level. So talking about workflows and how to connect all the pieces together and like what a automation actually is. And then half the day was spent in build time. The second day, we we dove a little bit deeper. We went through Gemini and Notebook LM, and I showed Zapier really quickly. It was like, here's an alternative to go high level. And then we did mapping. So I was able to map out every single person's business
Nice.
and kind of get like a picture. And then they took a picture of that and put it through ChatGPT to get a 30-day plan out of
Very
it.
nice.
So it was super
Very
helpful.
nice. Well, that
Nice.
actually kind of like leads into the topic for today, which is how you don't need to be tech savvy to use AI, and essentially what does it consist in terms of like utilizing AI in your day to day. So I would like to start with what were some of the, I guess, what are some of the repetitive tasks that annoy you most at work?
For me, pulling tasks out of emails and just being able to have everything in one spot instead of go through all the emails to find my task.
So email sorting is one of them.
Mine's probably replies. Um, and then, so I have it like, I want it to be a super thoughtful reply. And so I'm actually having AI go through half of that, like do it through ChatGPT. And then I'll go back and edit it and make it sound more like me and kind of like make sure that everything in there is actually what I wanted to reply with. But it helps. It saves a lot of time.
For me, it's getting meeting notes. Part of my W2, I'm in a lot of meetings, and sometimes I'm double booked. I can't attend two at the same time. So just getting the summary out of the meetings has been very helpful, as well as actually being able to ask questions of saying, hey, what did John say about topic X in this meeting, right? Or, when I last talked to Will, what did he tell me his dog's name is, or whatever, right? Things like that have been very useful to me.
Very nice. So those are, I mean, at least those are the same as me. I think that's pretty common for a lot of people just to have one, the notes transcription, right? To like know what was it that you missed out. And not only the whole transcript, but it's also like just the key highlights. Let's be real. We're not going to read through an entire 2 hour meeting, right? So I do see a lot of that being what it's the kind of like the, I would say, the long hanging fruit that people can start using. So for me is it's been a lot more on the right now I've been doing a lot of more hiring, so it's precisely going through being able to like assess what a candidate is um, good at based on our job description. So, you get to read both the resume versus like what the assessment was or what the job description is, and see what where things match. Um, so for that, so those are four things that I think are pretty common. So as far as like the email sorting, Jamie, what do you do? What do you use right now for handling that in your case?
I use a mix of a few things. I'm going into N8N, and within there, I'm using the Gemini to search and pull out of my Gmail accounts. Then it comes back and goes through Claude Code and organizes them and puts it into my Notion, which then also puts it into my calendar when needed.
So let me dig a little bit more into that. So you mentioned a couple tools there, N8N, Cloud Code, and then you also use Notion and Gemini. So those are a lot of, you know, obviously you're a little bit more advanced than most people. But what is the foundation of that for everybody that's listening? What is the foundation of you being able to sort through your emails? What are you doing to create that?
The the reason I'm going through N8N is because within there I can have multiple different agents doing different tasks. So like one is pulling out all just like who's asking me to do something or what do I need to do. The other one's pulling out, say, any problem emails or anything like that. Other ones are responding to emails. So basically, there's a hub that's saying, hey, search for these different parameters. When it comes in, then splits it out and sends it to multiple different areas. So, like Heather was saying with the responses, there's one agent that's doing a response within inside of that. But depending on the response, it could also trigger me a task or trigger me an appointment. So that's the reason I have it go that route. And then it
What
puts
would
it back into
you?
my Notion.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I think I
It,
have
it
more.
put, then puts it into my Notion so I can see everything in one spot without having to jump around to everything at once to see what's going on.
Got it. Sorry for interrupting. I think I had some delay in my network. I was just curious, what would you say to someone who is not using that functionality and who is more using a VA to respond to their emails about auto replies from like an LLM or an agent?
That's Will's specialty there, but for me would be going in and grabbing the particular, like, why just basically it is a response at that point. So making it a lot more simple, just programming the LLM to be able to do the auto reply based on what's coming in and not sorting it or not doing anything else or getting the what I'll call to action out of the email. It's just responding and satisfying the response. So the communication is there, but not always the follow up.
Yeah. So
Got it.
for me on the email side, um, it's I guess my first step is identifying what the emails even are, like what category they fall under. So using tags for that is kind of like a way that I developed. This was kind of like coined by, if I'm not wrong, Dan Martell. It's just the tagging system within your inbox, and then using those tags, it create multiple inbox. So in Gmail, you can actually do that, create up to 5 inboxes. So that helps kind of like organize things, whether you need to have it urgent. And then as you kind of like create those and start filtering them, you can then utilize AI to precisely like start identifying the types of emails that are under those categories. Um, so how do you essentially utilize AI for that is giving it access to your Gmail precisely. And then it will read those tags, and then you can then start like interacting with it. Um, for that email sorting. I mostly use it for scanning through my emails. So if I need something, I'm like, can you search for the last conversation that I had with with one of my clients, for example. And because it's tagged with the proper tagging, it will pull it and it will identify a lot easier. Um, that's how I use it for my email sorting.
And what is the interface that you use there, Will, when you're interacting with
Yeah,
that?
so I always have a window open with either ChatGPT or Gemini, mostly Gemini because it's already connected with Google Workspace. So it's kind of like the main one that I use. Um, and he helps me because sometimes I even have it on my phone in front of me, and I just put the talking version, and I just like use it as like my assistant, pretty much. Just like something pops up in my mind that like, oh, I need to look up for that file in Google Drive, so I just ask it because I have it in front of me. So some of my team members are using that for they're going through like a website to create an audit or a report, and then they have ChatGPT on the talking on the voice version, and they're just describing everything they're finding. They're like putting it all together, and then they have that report be pulled and sent to the client or the lead, for example. Now we do have here a viewer. His name is Jose, and this is what he just sent. So currently using ChatGPT, but I know I'm not using it, so it's full potential, but can definitely save you time. Search crime rate, days on market. Let me actually pull this a little bit longer here. Days on market, profitability, kind of valuable available assets in areas. So this is more for obviously we're talking real estate when it comes to this. I'm assuming Jose, you were talking about underwriting. So yeah, of course, it can definitely do that and do that research for you. But that's another good idea. It's just doing research, right? That's kind of like the main area. So I guess Nes, I'm curious. Heather, I know you mentioned your use case for it. Can you tell a little bit more about how you're utilizing it for your use case?
Yeah, I like to, like, especially for long emails that I get, like, just take the content and say, here's how I want to reply. It creates so much more of a thoughtful reply with the right tone. Because although taking a step back, ChatGPT 5 doesn't seem to know me as good as 4.5, and I really miss it a lot. Because all of the answers are like super dry and not me anymore. And so now I'm like having to go in and like add my own spice to these replies.
Yeah,
Did you hear that people were writing complaints to Sam Altman about bringing the older versions back?
5 is terrible. Like I don't know how it's better. Maybe it's thinking more comprehensively, but the actual like personality has just been completely removed.
Jeremy and I were talking about this the other day.
I agree with
And
that.
he's like, "Yeah, I don't like how he talks to me." And I'm like, "I never really used it for other stuff. So like to me, it answers exactly how I want it. It's like direct response."
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I was like, wow, no fluff. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so Heather, for your use case, do you have like ChatGPT open and then like you copy paste it in there, or what's your workflow to be able to respond?
Uh, right now it's just, I'm a very big copy paster. I haven't really connected all of my stuff together as I should. I'm sure all of you guys are more connected than me. I did notice as an update that ChatGPT can now read your calendar and email, um, but I haven't figured out how to actually connect that. I use the desktop app, so it's probably a little bit behind, and I have it connected to a really old Gmail. So if it's only able to connect to that one account, then that's not useful to me at all.
I have mine connected to 3 Gmails, so you can do more than one.
Okay, good to know because I have like 12.
Yeah, I just have it all
I
like make sure that everything goes into one. So um, kind of like
Same here.
saves me the hassle of having to go one by one. um, but yeah, so highly recommend that. Is if you do have multiple inboxes, just like have them be able to manage or send all the information into one. especially if it's under the same workspace. To be quite honest, it just makes it a lot easier.
And for me, I have all mine in one workspace, but I have them going into the bot first and then separating it out because the way I respond to software versus the way I respond to real estate in different companies, like the response is going to be different. So it's programmed different to respond differently. Where if I had them all coming into one, that's going to make it harder for me.
So
But yours is simpler.
yeah, mine is way simpler. I go in my email myself, unless it's like a very generic question that I get, like, oh, how can I set time with you? Then that's an automated response that goes out. But other than that, like right now, I'm training it to understand my tagging system, so it does that automatically based on the context of the email. And then I also have my VA and uh, go in and kind of like answer some of these things, just because I don't necessarily trust AI as much. I mean, it's 75% of the time is correct, so I try to be careful with a lot of that because it's client emails that come in. So um,
That's where I was going with a question to Jamie that I was asking earlier about unleashing it and giving it full access and letting it reply. It sounds like you're not trusting it 70, like 100%. You said 75%, and something like Heather
I,
doing the same.
yeah, and I don't trust it, which is why I use a multi-level agent. So like one agent comes up and says, "Hey, this is what I think it should be," and the other one says, "Yeah, this one's pretty good. Let's send it." Or it'll be like, "No, it's not right." And if they get in an argument per se, it then forwards it back to a human response.
Then it gives you a call.
It
The agents
basically,
are fighting.
so kind of like a mini checks and balances systems. And can you get it from 75% to 92%? You're never going to get it 100%, but at least I screw it up myself. So I don't know if I'm better than the 92%. But the key difference for me is I know they check every email and I might not.
yeah,
So at least it's always doing something. And then for me, I'd rather have it do something and not be 100% than not do something and be missed.
as long as it doesn't have your bank logins, you should be fine. As long as that's the case, you don't want to go in there.
I have no problem with it putting money in my account. Like I'm not going to complain.
Very true. So a lot of people, they hear us, and obviously we're a little bit more advanced in terms of like the usage of AI, right? In some cases, so there's like a lot of like overwhelming. What would be kind of like your recommendation for those people, um, like that are and Heather, you probably can answer this because you see a lot of these in you during your workshops. What is that common thing that you tell them and you recommend for them to start with?
Um, I actually, so in every day, we always just recommend ChatGPT to use it, to get more comfortable with it, to start, building out projects and really like have it smart about your business so that it can give the best responses. And if there's like a task that you're repetitively doing, like maybe you're doing YouTube videos, then you have a dedicated project for that that can then um, interpret, maybe a very loose prompt in a very smart way and give you like a really good output every time. So that's kind of where we start. And then in the workshop, we kind of go back a step of like, okay, are you running on paper for your business? Can you digitize, different things? And then from the being able to pull those things into systems, then adding in automation, and then adding in AI is kind of secondary, because there's only so much you can do just with the chat interface. But then at the same time, you don't skip right to agents whenever you're building stuff for your business. You have to go through steps. So that's what we go through in the workshop.
Quite interesting.
I think part of it too is actually go back to old school AI first and first set your accounts up so that they're filtered. So you can have different folders. In your case, you're using labels, but different folders where your mail's being sorted and where important mail can get automatically sent to a VA or more important for you to see. So when you're checking, you're seeing 5 to 10 emails, not 200. And then you can take the ones that came through not as important and put them more through AI, but your important ones you're more paying attention to. Um, so even before you get into the LLMs and doing everything else, what can you do right inside of your inbox to be more organized? That speeds things up.
And I think there's really two groups of people. There's the people who are fascinated by AI and they're getting in and they're trying new things and they're learning things themselves. But then there's the people who are almost scared of it
Mhm.
because they feel like they are behind and that they can't even take that first step and get in and they'll say, "Oh, what's a prompt? I'm prompting badly. I can't get this to do what I want." But they're just it's like it's almost like imposter syndrome, but in in the AI tools of like I can't do this. So like just my biggest recommendation is to get in and play with it because you can't break it. It's impossible to break it. It's like just learning the capabilities of it as the first step.
I think we learned this week there's a third one in play, and that's the ones that know they want it and they're not trying to learn it. They're just saying they want it and they're trying to push it on someone else.
Yes.
And they get confused when they hear it, but they're trying to learn to tell someone what to do. And we had that happen a couple of times this week on the office hours.
Russ, I wanted to ask you. I know that a lot of us know, and for those that don't know, Russ works at Microsoft Azure, and you lead a team, right? So, how is your team currently using AI, and has there been any sort of like pushback, or have you seen that be the case with your team, where like some of them are like, "How do I even use this thing?"
Yeah, I was just thinking about that when I was hearing Heather talk about the different avatars, because I see that at my work as well. Like clearly we're incentivized to use AI very heavily, and not just at Microsoft, different companies in different corporate and enterprise environments, they're actually measuring AI usage, which is interesting to see. Like you're kind of getting measured as an employee on how are you using and therefore training AI. Some may say to replace you, but I'll leave that debate for another time. Um, but it's been interesting to see people's reactions and kind of the adoption to that. Some, of course, were early adopters, jumped on it, super technical. They, kind of geeked out on it. They were. I have people that I'm working with who are super passionate about it. They're working on, they used to work on 2 passion projects on the side when they were done with their job. Now they're working on 5 just because AI allows them to do that. And they have like all these cool ideas, and they're building MCP servers and all sorts of cool things on the side. But many folks have continued to just do the work the way that they were doing it. And yeah, they might ask the occasional prompt, but those are not the folks that were actually seeing the best benefits. They were kind of entry level. So one of the things that I recently did in my team, I organized a hackathon specifically on AI. The requirement was use AI tools, familiarize yourself with them, and build something for our product. And many people paired up, which was super useful because they learned, when someone who was more junior or newer to AI paired up with someone who had been using it for a while, they got to learn some of the habits and skills of interacting with the different AI tools. Like, oh, this is how you prompt it. This is the type of question that you can ask it, right? And apply these tools to existing problems that they had, right? So if someone was, we're talking about software engineers here, like they were investigating bugs, trying to find out problems, fixing customers' issues, things like that, right? And they would previously, without AI, have kind of a methodical series of steps in which they would proceed, find the logs, try to find the problem, look at the errors, match that with where it could come up in code, write a test, go through it, make sure that it's working, stuff like that. Now they would just be able to pass the logs and tell an AI tool, like, where is this problem coming from? Where could it be coming from? Right. And then using their prior knowledge of that project, they would be able to get to an answer, verify that the AI is giving them a good answer. And once they got that, they got past that hurdle of, okay, these are actual concrete examples in which I can use AI. I noticed that they had a shift and they started being more curious, using it more. And I was just looking at the stats for the past 2 weeks. My team has been like every day, 100% of the team has been using AI in some sort of capacity. So it's it's I feel like there is a lot that people get scared of. Like there's that barrier to entry, but and I think that's where Heather's workshop works great here, because it's getting people over that threshold, right? Like showing them what is possible and showing them that step of, here's what you can do, here's how you can apply it to your day-to-day activities, right? So that's something that I've seen.
Man, I absolutely love the hackathon idea, and pairing people up with like the different. I absolutely love that, because think about it, like we're pairing people up that are really comfortable with it, and pairing people up that may, or they paired each other, right? It depends on how the selection was,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
people that were super uncomfortable with it to people that were comfortable with it, and then like once that blockade, I guess you could say, once you burst through that wall of like, how do I even like get to the prompted to get the answer that I need, it becomes like just like second nature, because it's really easy to get to that point. But mentally wise, obviously, there might be some mindset that you need to get through, even by just like talking to it. Um,
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And just to give you an example, one of the feedback pieces of feedback that I got from someone in my team was, and we're talking about a seasoned software engineer with like 5 years of experience in the industry, who paired up with someone who was very well versed in AI, writing MCP servers, like advanced stuff. And this other person had just heard of MCP servers. Maybe they asked ChatGPT, like, "Hey, what is an MCP server?" Right? But had not used it. And they got to the point where during the hackathon project, they built an MCP server, they applied it, they got a successful demo out of it, which they showed at the end of the week. And the feedback that I got was, this doesn't feel scary anymore. Like, I now know what it all means behind the scenes, and it's not that complex, right? Like if you break it down to the fundamentals, it's really not that hard to understand. It's just if you have someone that is explaining it to you and you're able to break it down, then it makes sense. So yeah.
Through your systems and in your tracking, have you been able to track how many people ask how to do something compared to ask for the answer?
No, we don't have that visibility. They just give us like aggregate numbers, not like, hey, I hate my manager, what can I do to find another job or something, right? Yeah. It's just like how many people are using it in this development environment, or how many people are using this tool versus the other tool, how many people are using I don't know, Claude versus ChatGPT, things like that, like aggregate numbers.
I've found that people that start with asking, how do I, and not what is the answer, seem to stay with it and get more involved
Hmm.
rather than that random, basically using it like Google. Hey, what's this? Um, so that's one of the things I have noticed for people getting in.
yeah, and the reason why I asked you, Ras, about your team and the implementations, because even at the level, okay, you have software engineers that work that you people that work underneath you are software engineers. They were probably in the same spot of using it as somebody that maybe is an assistant for, you know, in a lawyer's office, right? So it's
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
like getting to that. So many people feel this way at first, and that's okay as long as they continue to like really try. And to Jamie's point, the how do I versus the what is, right, is a big difference as well when to or how to prompt it. Um, so I wonder what other techniques are being implemented. I mean, at least the way that I learned to use it was simply just talking to it and just trying to figure it out what is the best way to answer. And I believe OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, they released a new way to prompt GPT-5, and it's actually a lot more complex, which kind of like makes me think whether
Mhm.
like it was a good change, because now you're going from like a simple prompt to like this really like it used to be 3 parts, now it's like 6 parts. And it's like, oh, you're gonna get like magician level like results. But for those that like are starting, that sounds like super scary. That sounds super like I'm what do you mean it's a 5 part thing that I have to ask in order to get a good result, right? So I think that's where the level of like I guess you could say limiting belief of people that like they need to have it be this ultimate prompt, when in reality you can just like ask it and talk to it as a colleague. And it sounds like
Yeah, I think the difference is. Oh, sorry.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
yeah, and it sounds like it's a lot better to learn with a colleague than having all these different, you know, I mean, learning with a colleague or somebody that can break it down simple enough, like we said, during in the AI Momentum Lab with Heather and April Elias. Sign up for it. Is being able to is being able to just
Will's affiliate code will be in the chat.
I need a referral. I need a referral code. Is being able to just talk it over with a friend that is using it, and then like being able to like then, okay, I can talk to it that way, right? Because then some people are more like learners in that regard, like paired up. Sorry, you were saying, Russ?
Yeah. No, sorry, I interrupted you. I was going to say that in many cases, the difference between a regular prompt and that 6 part prompt is a difference between, getting a result 90% of the way or getting it 99.99% of the way, right? Like in most cases, it doesn't have to be like 4 nines accuracy, right?
Right.
So that's yeah, just keep that in mind. That's good enough. And to the point about getting some guidance from a friend or from a colleague or something like that, like there are so many different options, right? There's the workshop, of course, but then there's YouTube. There are tons of videos out there. Like when you mentioned the prompting guide from OpenAI, I recently watched one from Anthropic, who's producing Claude, and they have a pretty good one that is prompting 101, very user friendly. They go through an example, so it's really just doing the bare minimum and finding out some useful techniques on how to do it. And then again, of course, there's kind of the meta point about ask the language model how to prompt it. Like give it the prompt and say, how would you make this prompt better, right? Like I know, Will, you do that quite a lot. You use an agent to create the prompt for another agent,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sure that Jamie and Heather do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And what I learned to do on that is I make a what do you call it? The custom prompt. Not the. I just lost the track of it.
Custom GPT or what?
Yeah, that's it. Custom GPT, because it doesn't track the
Mm-hmm.
memory. So you can do the custom GPT to write your prompt and then pull it over and put it into your main prompt. And by doing that, all the rubbish beforehand is not tracked in the memory for the main chat.
Yeah, that's exactly what my
Yeah.
agent maker does. That's what it is. So I guess just to simplify and keep it really in short, what at least I would recommend, or at least what we have been speaking here, is first you got to figure out what task you do every day that feels repetitive or it's time consuming or it's just annoying. So we spoke about the sorting of emails, scheduling meetings, answering common questions, right? These are things that are like repetitive. Um, then choosing one of the tools. I mean, the recommended one is ChatGPT is the most famous one, realistically speaking. If you feel comfortable using that, then great. If you already have Google Workspace, Gemini is what I would go for, just because you don't have to pay anything extra if you don't want to pay for ChatGPT. And then just becoming a lot more friendly, or a lot more what do you call it, used to speaking to it, right? um, and then after that, it's just integrate gradually. I mean, it's all about like getting accustomed to it. It's a new tool, like email was a new tool back in the 90s, right? I mean, now we use it every day. It's actually quite annoying to use email now, but it is what it is. um, and then as you use it gradually, then start measuring what, um, how much impact does that happen. So one thing that I do constantly is, I try to see how fast I can go through a task, right? And then I go into either ChatGPT or Gemini, like I said, and then measure how much time it takes me to complete that task. And I do that on a monthly basis, just to like test myself how much more faster I have gotten with it. So slow and steady wins the race at the end of the day.
I think off of that, if you are to look at improving, say, 1% per day, 1% per week, where so many people are like, I need AI and I want it to do everything now. And that's where they get jammed up, where if they just take one small thing and get it working correctly and then go to the next one. And I think that's huge for a lot of people, especially if they're first getting started. And if they are first getting started and not that high volume user, something like Get Marlin is really good, because you can get in and give your prompt and it will actually go out and say, this will be besting whatever LLM is needed, and then bring it back, and it'll actually talk back and forth between the different LLMs and organize everything. And it's rather inexpensive, but it's not made for high volume. So as you start learning and getting in more and more, then you need to branch out and get into the single LLMs.
Yeah, I was actually going to touch on that topic that you brought up, Jamie, and that's how we started. Will with what are the repetitive tasks, and I know that probably all of us get asked that, like, hey, how can I, like, what's the best AI tool out there to automate my business, or to just bring AI into my business? Like, very generic question, right? And I think it's really key that you do break it down to some of the tasks that you want to leverage AI for, and to see whether it makes sense to do that. So that's important. I'm happy that we started there.
I think for that, a lot of people get hung up because in order to think through a task and figure out the AI part, and if it's not just chat based, it's like, what technology do I need to even put this together, or do I need to hire somebody? Because once you start like figuring out automations, or if there's, you know, just knowing that there's scheduled tasks in a lot of these platforms. So there's one in ChatGPT, there's one in Gemini, but I don't know if people are thinking through like just being able to automate it on a daily basis to do the same task every day.
Yeah, well, Gemini, you can schedule it so that it gives you a summary of your everyday. What was the last 24 hours of emails, for example, and then you can pick point from there, because it connects with Gmail. So
All right, but my point is like, who know like who out of the users that are using it, who even notices that scheduled task option? And are they manually going in there whenever they think about it instead of using it in a consistent way for their
right,
business?
right, yeah, very true, very true. That's why I think a lot of the AI education for
I
the
think.
workforce is really important. Being able to either sign up a set a few people from your team to learn it, right? Either pay for some sort of course or pay some sort of education for that, especially if you don't have the time. I mean, obviously business owners are busy, and sometimes they can't learn it themselves, so it's good to also think of those solutions to start like bringing it into your operations. Because if you ask somebody to, hey, go learn AI, I mean, where to even start, as you're mentioning, Heather. um, But the simple tasks, repetitive tasks, that's where I would say to start. It's just a matter of like how do you then bring it into the business world, and that's the part that just becomes more of a practice. It becomes more of a practice going from foundational to then moving it into like those areas. So yeah, very true, very true. So I had another question here for you guys, and that was, oh, I see what you're getting. Some prompts here. Oh, Jamie, that was you. And then I see Jose is also sharing his prompt from what he got earlier. So just to go back to that and just be here. So this is what Jose said a little earlier. So currently you use ChatGPT for a lot of the research on crime scenes and whatnot. And this was his prompt. I want you to act as a detailed real estate investor. Please provide comprehensive assessment of the following property. I would assume the link to that property is shared, or at least the address. So, so thank you for sharing, Jose. Highly, highly appreciate that. So everybody watching can also start using it this way.
And
And
then
then
Jamie
Jamie
went
went
in
in
and
So
and
blew
yeah,
that up.
destroyed the chat with this. I don't know if this fits all in one, but let's see. Maybe Jose, you want to try that one maybe and see if it gives you results. See, can it be shown? Let's see. Oh, this is gonna be a nightmare here. Come on, Jamie, don't do me like that. But yeah, you're a seasoned real estate investor with 15 plus year of experience in acquisitions, rehab, and market analysis. Your role is to provide the detailed investment grade assessment, and that's where it cuts off because it's just really long. But that's you can grab that prompt from Jose and then ask it to give you a more detailed based on the expertise you're looking for. Okay, excellent.
Jamie, did you use
Go ahead.
a GPT, a custom GPT, to generate that prompt for you based
I
on
did,
Jose's? Okay.
correct. So basically, that's hitting the 6 points that ChatGPT wants
Mm-hmm.
per ChatGPT rather than a single line.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, um, yeah. So I guess I wanted to give a little bit of a challenge here to those watching or watching in the future, and that is just pick one unknown task and test it. Test an AI tool for 1 week, measure it, and then rinse and repeat. Right? Link that repetition into a sheet, some sort of like a spreadsheet that you can track essentially what you're doing, or keep it as a note, and see how fast you get. Maybe in a week you find out that you are 30 minutes faster every week. I mean, that's significant, to be honest. People don't think that 30 minutes getting faster at something in a week is fast, and I'm like, that's incredibly fast. Like the fact that you can do something in a week and then do it 30 minutes faster. I know you just said that multiple times, but it's just insane to me that the results that you can get. Okay, excellent. So let's see. Any other topics we want to cover today? Any AI news that maybe are highlights of this week? I feel like every day is just insane amounts. Um, I don't know if you guys have anything that you want to share in regards to AI news.
One thing I saw this week that was pretty cool is Claude now can go back and search its chats where before it wouldn't. So when you started getting into a longer chat, Claude would shut off, and then you'd have to restart another chat. So wherever you were, you lost its memory. But now it can review its past chat history and continue the conversation. So that was something new out this week.
Yeah, I think they're the last ones to kind of like do that because um, I don't know what it is with Anthropic releasing this. I feel like Anthropic is kind of like the Apple of AI. They kind of like are the last ones to release stuff. Um, but I mean, everybody uses it differently, or everybody kind of comes with it. But yeah, I feel like they're the Apple of the AI industry.
Hmm.
Have y'all gotten a chance to use like the study
I
mode?
have not actually.
Yeah,
Tell me more about your experience with it.
it's actually
Oh, I haven't gotten a chance. I know that was a big release, and I haven't gotten a chance to use it. But it's like That would have been so cool to have whenever I was at school. Just to
What's
like
really
be able, yeah. Oh,
what's
go ahead.
really cool about it is, like I was saying earlier, like, do you want to learn something or are you just trying to get the answer?
Mhm.
And if you're trying to learn it, you can go into study and learn and type in everything. And instead of it giving you the answer, it makes you work for the answer and you actually learn how to do it. So it was designed for schools, because they keep trying to push the ChatGPT out of the schools, and it's a way for them to allow them to leave it in schools. But if you want to learn something, it's pretty sharp.
What kind of things have you prompted,
Interesting.
Jamie?
Um, like coding as an example, I needed some Python help the other day, so I just, like, instead of me just getting the answer, it's like, why I always have to go get the answer. Why don't I just learn how to do this portion? So I asked it, and it took me through like 40 questions. I say that it took me through like 6 questions, but then I asked it, like, it was a repetitive thing that I went through probably 30 to 40 questions. And now I know more. I don't, I'm not great at it, but at least I was able to learn and go to the next step and retain some of it. And it was better than just getting that straight answer.
That's awesome. I am wondering how they're going to kind of embed that into schools and force students to use that, right? So that they don't get the answers. Because I think the idea behind it is great.
I think it's going to become standard on school computers. Like now, most schools have tablets or a
Hmm.
laptop, and I think it's going to be on the laptops for them to use in class.
Hmm.
Um, so they won't have full access to everything, but they'll be able to log in and get to that. So it's getting rid of part of the cheat code.
Yeah.
So they're still learning, still using the AI and learning how to use the system and do everything else without always getting the answer. So when they go home and go use it just to get the answer, at least they know they can go in and do it the other way also.
That is
Yeah.
interesting because even though it's being pushed for schools, I feel like if I wanted to learn a topic, there's so much content out there that my go-to for learning is Notebook LM, um, by Google. But um, I'll find it whether is it actually teaching me? Is it a and we could probably try it here, but is it actually teaching me based on like what I'm asking it, or is it like a math and then like it goes from like what depending on the grade, right? Like how is it going to be, or how is it teaching you more? Is it more on a per ask basis? Those are the questions that I will have in terms of, because like today I do that with ChatGPT like regular, and I mean I learned things on how to do things, but maybe the way that schools are using it, or I just don't know the difference is what I'm trying to say.
Well, well,
Right.
it's using this thing called the Socratic method to at its foundation to ask you questions, right? So the types of questions that it's asking you, it's kind of forcing you to provide it answers to get to the next step. Whereas, you know, it you would probably just end up asking for a sub answer if you're not asking for the full answer right away, right? So at some point, you yourself would cheat, right? The whole idea behind this is that it's just going to keep on prompting you, and
Mm-hmm.
you answer it until you get to where you want it to go.
And it's also multiple choice. So it's giving you 4 answers, and you just get to figure out which one it is.
Oh, okay.
And it's not always
That's
B.
pretty much like school.
It's not a scattering test. It's not you don't get to choose B or C to to pass.
Test yourself. We'll try it out. Bring it up. And
Do we really want to? I mean,
how about you, Raj? Yeah, you can. You want to learn something? What do you want to learn?
teach me about how animals became animals in this world. Ah man, I'm just being delusional now. Um, okay, cool. What else? What else do we got? Got a few. Did you guys hear about Perplexity offering 3.8 billion no, $38.3 billion to buy Google
Yeah.
Chrome? You guys didn't hear about that?
Wow.
Yeah, that was big in the news.
Isn't OpenAI launching a new browser?
Everybody's trying to.
Like they're launching their own browser.
Yeah, and they also Perplexity also had an offer to buy Dia.
I did see that.
I
Yeah,
don't know what Dia is.
Dia
What is
is
that?
It's another
a browser. Yeah,
it's another browser.
Hmm.
They're essentially trying to buy
a browser.
eyeballs and users, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they want to go to the source. So I find that interesting because, first of all, I don't really think they'll be able to buy it. I mean, their valuation is 18 billion, if I'm not wrong. Now we're going really niche here in this topic, but I just find it interesting how the all these AI BC backed um companies are just trying to like bite each other off, or trying to buy market share from like the big dogs, I guess you could say, like Google Chrome. I mean, talk about like the biggest browser in the world, I would assume. Sorry, Microsoft Edge.
It's okay. I actually use Edge, you know, on my own machines, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, when I saw it, it's really similar
But
to Arc, which I use Arc browser. Like the
yeah,
well, Arc is probably
well,
similar to Edge. I don't know which would copy which, but
well, the interesting thing is, and I think many browsers, maybe except Mozilla, are following this. That they have the Chromium engine at their foundation, which is the open source version of Chrome that Chrome released soon after they went live with the project with the product. So yeah, it's all they all look very very similar. Just Mozilla is kind of
That's interesting
different.
because I only develop with Firefox.
Really?
I cannot develop in Chrome or any other thing. Like it has to be Firefox because it has the best development tools, at least in my opinion.
Okay,
Russ is like, I don't agree, but I'm not gonna say
that's
He's
fine.
like, I agree
Preferences,
to
right?
disagree.
Some people use spaces, other people use tabs. It's fine.
it.
What's new at Microsoft? We should be leaning towards Russ.
It's definitely spaces.
I have not tried that. So
Yeah.
Spaces, Microsoft. Okay,
No, it's not
I'll
a.
take a note.
It's not a thing.
Oh, it's not. Okay, never mind.
Um,
I got tricked.
the the other thing that I wanted to bring up in terms of news, I was curious if you guys heard of it. A new product. I think it's still an experiment or like early beta called Google Opal. Have you heard
That
of
thing's
it?
awesome.
What's that?
It's awesome.
It's awesome. You tried
But
it?
I did, but it like worked for about 4 hours, and then they turned it back off.
Okay.
So, it's still in the beta program,
Hmm.
so it's not released to everybody. So I think they accidentally turned it on and then realized it and shut it back off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not tried it.
It seems interesting. It's a combination of a tool that allows you to build apps, but it also combines some workflow functionality, so it gets it closer to something like N8N. I don't know. Is that accurate, Jamie? If you played around with it,
That's basically it. I just learned today too. Go High Level is putting a very similar like N8N inside of Go High Level, so that'll be interesting.
interesting. I mean, they already have a workflow engine, right?
Uh, they do, but it's
Not,
so basic.
yeah, not exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's foundation
Mhm.
wise, it's there. It would be natural for them to add.
I'm excited about that. I come from the Infusionsoft world, and their workflow builder has been very advanced since like 2015, 2014. Like it was years ahead of any other CRM.
Isn't Infusionsoft now Keep? Gotcha.
Hmm. But the old like one that you can do all the things in, they still kept it labeled as Infusionsoft, so it's like Infusionsoft Max or something.
Hmm. Interesting. I never got into Infusionsoft.
It's amazing. And you're in email marketing. Like, take all of the capabilities of every other system and amplify it. And it's just more expensive. But all of the bigger email marketers, or not all of them, because I think Pace is using like Active Campaign. He was on Keep whenever I first
Hmm.
joined Sub 2. I was like, oh, look, I recognize these emails. But he switched. But because Active Campaign has a little bit more, they have like custom objects that they do really well, so it's easier to map out different things.
Yeah, no, for email marketing, at least for the agency, we use Klaviyo because it's mostly for ecom.
Hmm. That's good for
Yeah,
Shopify.
yeah,
Yeah.
correct. And then other than that, like for emails, just good old go high level. I say good old, and some it's been like a few years only with it. But yeah, very interesting. Yeah, a lot of good tools out there to use. If you're going into automations, to like connect a few tools that are not intertwined, I always recommend Zapier because it's just the easiest one. It's just super easy to just connect two tools, three tools. Then you have Make, which is very easy to connect as well. And I would say N8N is actually a lot easier than you think, but it's just really scary. That interface is like it's a scary interface for someone that has no experience with automation. But yeah, I think those are
I've been seeing a ton of talk on Reddit. I'm in so many like developer groups on there. That's where I get all my developer information. A lot of like more techie people are going away from N8N. So they're actually going back to doing straight up Python code because you can make all those connectors to the models without like at least you can hit N8N to a certain point, and then if you're scaling past that, you have to go back to basics and like coding. At least that's what the people who are working with very large companies trying to build it on N8N are saying.
quite interesting. I'm sure Ras probably be like, yeah, we don't use any of those.
No, we don't use anything. No. Although I would kind of like to.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
It's a good tool. I feel like all those tools are really good. For those that are no code solutions, anyways. You just gotta learn just a little bit of technical stuff, and other than that is pretty intuitive. You gotta just connect your stuff and then know the steps one by one. But well, guys, we are at the hour here at the AI hotline, so we're gonna be closing up. Any last things that we wanna mention, say, or are we good to go for the close off?
The world is exciting. We're just waiting on new releases.
Heck yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Jose, for being on the show here and sharing your prompt. Very appreciative of your interaction here. And for those of you guys that are watching later, subscribe, like, comment, tell us what you want to see, tell us what you want to hear, and we'll bring it up to the next one. See you. Peace.